Today I'm going to share with you one simple price action rule that is stupid simple, very reliable, and very repeatable that gave me results like this, and this. And then I'll give you real trade examples that I've taken myself in live markets so you have a very good idea on how to implement these into your trading immediately. Without further ado, let's dive right in. So the number one rule of price action is to always wait for candlestick to close. And by the end of today's video, you will actually understand how candlestick is actually formed and how will it increase your win rate. I'll give you real life trade examples so you can take actionable steps and use it immediately to prevent any more confusion and also to prevent overthinking. So just one clear system to make you a lot of money from the markets. So the very first thing we have to understand is how candlestick is actually formed. To understand why do we need to wait for candlestick to close, we need to first understand candlestick at its most basic form. So on the left side, you can see that there is a bullish candlestick, and on the right side, you can see that there is a bearish candlestick. First, we have to define what is the body and what is the wick. The body simply refers to the solid bar, as you can see, and wick refers to the line at the top and bottom of the candlestick. So you can see that the candlestick may look really simple, but it tells us a lot of things that are actually happening behind the scene. Let's take the bullish candlestick for example. So the price essentially opening up at the bottom of the body, and sellers came in and pushed the price all the way to the wick low. However, there are a lot of buyers that came in at this price and managed to push the price all the way up to the wick high. Eventually, some of the sellers came in and managed to push the price down to this closing price. So what it essentially means is that buyers are much more than sellers in this bullish candlestick. And if we want to buy a stock, we are always looking for a bullish candlestick breakout. So on the other hand, the bearish candlestick is exactly the opposite of what we just discussed. So the price is essentially opening up at the top of the body, and some of the buyers came in and pushed the price up to the wick high. Eventually, a lot of sellers came in at this price and pushed the price all the way back down to the wick low. And ultimately, some of the buyers came in and pushed the price to this closing price at the bottom of the body. So for a bearish candlestick, it's very obvious that sellers are much stronger than buyers. So if we were to short a stock, we're always looking for a bearish candlestick breakout to the downside. So the next thing we're going to talk about is actually the engulfing candle. So let's define what is an engulfing candle. You can see these three candles are exactly like what we just discussed. The only difference is the size of the candle. Let's define this as candlestick 1 and candlestick 2. The body of the candlestick 2 essentially engulfs the entire body of candlestick 1. What this means is that there are a lot of buyers present in the market than compared to sellers. So what defines a strong engulfing candlestick? Essentially, the body must be much bigger than the wick. So now we come into the opposite of that, where we have a weak engulfing candlestick. You can see the difference between candlestick 1 and candlestick 2 is that right now the body does not engulf candlestick 1. However, the wick engulfs the entire thing. So this still means that there are a lot of buyers present in this candlestick. However, it's not as strong as the previous example. And therefore, even though buyers are stronger than sellers, but it's relatively weaker than the previous example. And this is simply because the body is not much bigger than the wick. They are almost at equal size. So we'll consider this as a weak engulfing candlestick. So if you guys didn't know already, I made an entire video about a full course strategy that made me over $300,000 by using just one simple strategy. It is simply the momentum breakout strategy that validates using a trend line in an hourly time frame. So we simply draw a downtrend line when the price is above the EMA 20. So when there is a breakout of the trend line with a strong momentum engulfing candle, then we shall enter the trade. This system has a 60% win rate with a minimum of 2 risk to reward, which is a very profitable strategy. So if you guys are interested in my momentum breakout strategy, I put a link down for the full course strategy video. You guys can go watch that video after you finish this one. Can you see the difference between these two charts? For the chart on the left, there seems to be a valid breakout of the blue trend line, suggesting that the stock has very strong momentum to push the stock further to the downside. You can see that we took a short position on this stock as it seemed to be a textbook setup in our playbook. I entered this stock at around 10.18, even though I should have waited for the candle to close. However, I FOMO'd into the trade because the stock seemed to be pushing and have a very strong bearish candle with momentum to continue pushing the price to the downside. And what eventually happened is that exactly at 10:30, the stock started to retrace back up and ultimately the candlestick closed with a long bottom wick, suggesting that the breakout candle is relatively weaker. with 50% of it being a body and 50% of it being a wick. These simply suggest that sellers are not as strong as what we expected, and there are a lot of buyers at this price to push the body up. As you can see, this is actually a real trade that I've taken on a short position on Doordash on the 3rd of September. I entered this trade at around 10:18, which is earlier than what I'm supposed to. I did not wait for the candle to close and confirm there's indeed a strong selling momentum to continue to push the price down. What ended up happening was the price retraced up and ultimately form a wick, which is what we don't want in a momentum breakout play. This caused us to lose $2,500 in the span of 5 days, and therefore it is super important to wait for a candle closure to confirm our thesis and our strategy. So let's move on to the next case. So as you guys can see right here, there is a very clear bullish candlestick breakout. And I entered this stock at 10:15 because it looks like it has a lot of bullish momentum ready to push the price up. Similarly, I FOMOed into the trade and entered at 10:15. And what ended up happening was that at exactly 10:30, the price essentially retraced back down, forming a very long wick. These simply suggest that buyers is not as overpowering as we thought compared to the sellers. This is also a real trade example that I took live on Soundhound, as you guys can see, on the 10th of October. And we lost $2,600 simply because we did not wait for the candlestick to close. And now you saw the two live examples that caused me to lose more than $5,000 simply because we did not wait for the candlestick to close. Now that you understand how important it is to wait for candles to close, let's go see some real life trades that I've taken to better understand how can candlesticks improve your win rate significantly. So guys, as you guys can see, this is one of the trades we have taken live, which is IONQ. So we have taken this trade live on the 2nd of October. You guys can see that there's a very clear downtrend line. Price is above the EMA 20, and the price actually broke out with a very strong momentum bullish candle. So you can see that there is minimal wick and a majority of the candle being a body. So this simply suggests that there's a lot of buyers at this price point. So we enter the trade right here. So we enter the position at the close of the candle because we already confirmed that there's a lot of body and a minimal wick. So there's no fake outs in this case. And we are risking $5,000 in order to make $10,000. And let's see how it plays out. So in a matter of 4 days, we're able to make $10,000 for this single trade. And simply because we waited for the candlestick to close. You can see that there is minimal drawdown in this trade, and the trade eventually shot all the way up to our take profit levels. And we are able to make $10,000 from just one simple rule. So moving on to the next trade, this is another trade that we've taken is QS. So we have taken this trade live on the 1st of October. As you guys can see, similarly, the price has been above the EMA 20 for more than 3 days. So the price is retracing back down to the EMA 20. We draw a downtrend line, and eventually, the price broke out from the downtrend line with a very strong momentum bullish candle. You can see that the characteristic of this candlestick is that there are very minimal wick and there are a lot of body, and the candle has already closed, confirming that there are a lot of buyer presence in this specific price point. So buyers eventually overwhelm sellers. So another thing I want you to see that in our previous example where we're defining what is an engulfing candle, you can see that this breakout candle essentially is candlestick 2 and the previous candle is candlestick 1. If you're just taking the body into consideration, you'll see that the body essentially massively engulf candlestick 1, suggesting that this is a very strong bullish momentum candle. It is also can be considered as an engulfing candle, and therefore we enter a long position at the close of the candle, and we're risking $5,000 in hopes of making $10,000. And let's see how that trade plays out. So as you can see, we hit our profit level right here, and if you have forgotten to take profits at this level, eventually you would have taken profit right here as well. You can see that we have made $10,000 from just following one simple rule, which is waiting for the candle to close. And you can see that there are minimal drawdowns in this scenario as well. So the price went straight away into our favor in the green. So we feel less stressful and everything is stress-free as well. So guys, I just want you guys to understand the fact that you don't need a very complicated system to improve your trading strategy. All of these 4 examples that I've given you are all live trades that I've taken myself. So by just changing my system slightly from entering the trade earlier and waiting for the candle to close, I have massively improved my win rate in recent trades. So if this video helped you in the slightest way possible, please leave down a comment, like, subscribe, open the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.